Static Shock number 6, written and art by Scott McDaniel. Last issue, Sharon, or one of the Sharons, got kidnapped, and Static is on an all-out war now to find out exactly where they were taken. Hardware is going to show up soon to help. This is a really dense issue, and I'm going to move really quickly, but I'm going to try to hit all the points. So, Static finds out that the garbage boat that they have is actually pretty high tech, and they could be anywhere up and down this river now. But as he focuses really hard, he sees some SOS signals, and he follows them down to wherever it may lead, which is south down the river. Meanwhile, south down the river in a submarine near Rikers Island, all the villains are together, and they're going to some super secret place with a lot of big technology, so they need to be on their best behavior, according to Tan, the crime lord. And as they arrive inside this place, it's a giant portal, and everyone's just in awe of it as David Davidson steps up and reveals, this is Darkstar, and I'm the big bad of all of this, which they say that he was the therapist in like issue 3 or something like that. So he's been around, and he's just been pulling the strings from behind and in front and whatever. So he invites Piranha to bring the girl to him. Piranha steps up, and he's like, all right, so are you sure Static is dead? And Piranha's like, yeah, no, totally. And if he's not, we've got like 1,000 lookouts, so we're good. And then Sharon's like, wait a minute, you're the big bad. You're the one who made the clone of me to begin with. Why would you do this to me? And he's like, it wasn't about you. It was about me. You're not nearly as important as you think you are. And Alkali, for some reason, is getting really pissed off over this whole thing. And Guillotine is like, dude, back down. So then Static reaches the end of the trail, or at least the end of the trail he can get to, because it goes underground beyond his reach, and he doesn't know how to get there. And at that moment, Hardware and his sidekick Technique show up. And then we go back down into the portal room, and basically Piranha just asks for an explanation. And apparently if you drop down the center of the portal, you get teleported through space. And if you go through one of the edges, you get teleported through space and time. And he offers up the girl. He says, oh, drop the girl in. If Static's really dead, we don't need her. And Piranha looks at her, and he's like, nah, I'll drop one of my lackeys in. And he drops in the lackey, and David Davidson says it goes to the homeland of his new colleagues, the Columnus. Which, okay, that's something. So all of Piranha's lackeys start hooting and hollering, and Davidson doesn't like how rowdy they are. So then Nemo steps up because he's here. Sure, whatever. And he offers up the Q juice to Davidson in exchange for going through the deep portal, because I guess he thinks it'll allow him to live and not be turned into nothingness. So Piranha's like, wait a minute, you said you'd sell me the Q juice. And he's like, I lied, we're not working together. And then Davidson tells Piranha, like, also, you're not working with me either. And then he turns to Nemo saying, and I'm not working with you either, because I've already got my own warriors, and I don't need your Q juice to turn them into freaks. So now everyone's not working with each other. Nemo just throws the Q juice into the portal, which is going to turn all the Columnus into freaks, which Davidson doesn't want. And Piranha's like, all right, this went to hell. Everyone start killing each other. And Davidson's like, I agree. So then we get Hardware and Static and Technique, and he's trying to figure out, like, what do I do? How do I follow the signal? And Hardware's like, what about the apps that I gave you inside your suit? And Static's like, I have apps? And he pulls up all these things, and one of them reveals an access hatch, so they open it up and fly down in there. Meanwhile, everyone's fighting. Alkali and Guillotina are trying to protect Sharon as best they can from every superhero here. And Nemo's like, Alkali, please, you have to get me down to that portal, else I'll die. And he's like, dude, I'm going to destroy that portal. I'm not going to save you. And Nemo's like, you can't destroy it. It's 4-dimensional. The only way to destroy it is from the inside. Why did I give you that info? So then Static, Hardware, and Technique show up, and their goal is to get Sharon out, and then they'll deal with everything else. And then something like goes into the central core of the thing, and I genuinely have no idea what it is. I think it might be a guy named Sunspot, but that might just be a nickname that Static gave him. I don't know, but he's there and he's causing problems. So Static gets knocked into the portal, but he like lands on the rim or something like that. But then when he looks up, he sees Alkali, and he's like, oh yeah, I got a bone to pick with you because of previous issues. And meanwhile, Technique is trying to get Sharon to safety, but stuff keeps getting in the way. Static's fighting with Alkali, and then, make a long story short, Alkali's like, dude, do you not understand that the reason I'm trying to save your sister is because I'm you? That's right. When he just went through the portal, he hit the side, which means it was teleported through space and time, and he made a clone that came out earlier in, like, issue 3. Sure. So he does all this revealing. He's like, Dr. Nemo accidentally told me how to destroy the portal. Help me do that. And then whatever's inside the portal is doing its thing. I don't know anymore. And it starts exploding, and then the whole thing starts filling up with water as well. Nemo seemingly gets sucked into the portal, but for some reason he says no. So I guess that's not what he wanted. The Pale Man is just lets go of Piranha's hand and dies. Okay, and Hardware, Technique, Guillotina, Sharon, and Static make it out, and I don't think anybody else, including Alkali. What happened to him? I don't know. So they get out, and Guillotina is offered a chance to become a good guy, and I think that Sharon knows Static's secret, but they don't explicitly say it, so maybe not. Anyway, last page, the family has a vote to stay in New York, even after everything that's happened. The Sharon who was taken on that long trip, the kidnapping and all that, she comes down to the conclusion of, look, I can just go by my middle name. I'll be Cassandra now, and we'll be like sisters, and we won't have to worry about this. And everyone's happy with that. And then they end on a Static panel of them saying, oh, Static, isn't he so cute and so cool and blah, blah, blah. So in issue 1, I was really confused because of the clone sisters thing that didn't get explained at all. We're just expected to know it. And for a reboot, that was really hard to just swallow. We've hit issue 6. We've gotten an explanation as to who did it, how they did it, sort of kind of why they did it. And I still don't feel like I understand anything. More importantly, why did we do all this? This book was so overwritten. This book took 1,000 different threads that it could have just left. It didn't have to do, but it just continued on. People always say that at the New 52, the things that carried on were Batman and Green Lantern, but they never mentioned that Static was the one who just brought every bit of past continuity in with it. And it's infuriating. There is a diagram, an actual, literal, honest-to-God diagram in the back matter of this trade that explains how Nemo and his powers work in relation to the portal, and I still don't get it. This book was so horribly overwritten, and as such, I dock it horribly for not being able to wrap it up in a way that I find satisfying. I understand that's subjective, but that's what this whole show is. Art-wise, it's the same it always has been. It's literally been the same artist throughout, and it looks okay to good. Nothing to write home about, though. So I'm going to give this one a 5.5, and that's really just this issue. If I'm talking about the arc as a whole, it would be a little bit lower because there's just a lot of problems that it did not deal with properly. But this issue, if I'm being fair to it, is a 5.5. And we still have 2 more to go before this series gets canceled. So I don't even know what we're doing for that.